All righty, it is now time to begin our first presentation from from student athlete to CEO with Matt Forrest from Pullman Regional. So, Matt, you're a former student athlete, right? And when you reflect about your time as a student athlete in college, what do you miss the most?
Well, I ask you, you're having a blast right now. You're having a great time doing it. There's a couple things. I think the easy answer is you miss the buds, man. You miss the bros traveling, having a good time. But I think the thing that I miss the most is the competition. You know, the deep, intense competition where you're focused. You know, you hit a couple shots. You know, you're at Louisiana Tech playing against pros, and you hit a couple shots. Those are memories and moments that you're really not going to get back. And when you're growing up, that's what you kind of dream about doing, just a little bit of that. So I think more than anything, it's just going to practice, playing, the stress, that comes along with it. But you definitely miss it. And you go the rest of your life trying to find that a little bit again. Pullman City League basketball doesn't quite get you there, but it's it gives you a little bit of the itch back, No,
the competition, you crave it. You're looking for it in everywhere you go, and yeah, you're finding it with the Pullman basketball crew.
My friends will tell you it's one of those things they're still working with me on. You take the competition in, like Chanel and I aren't competing on too many games right now because she wouldn't be hanging out with me after that. You know what I'm saying? So I do miss that. That's an intense feeling. It's one of those things that not everybody gets to experience. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Now, tell me a little bit about the transition from, your college lifestyle to the real world. It's a really scary place that until you're in it, you don't really understand it. So talk about that.
Well, I think about this a lot, and the truth is that I think the real world started kind of when you get into college athletics. Because as well as I know, it's 7A to 7P. You got classes starting at 7 a.m. You might get just a half an hour for lunch. Then you're at film. Then you're at practice. You don't get back to the dorm or back to your place until 7 at night. And that is like real world stuff, right? Yeah. You get out, the main thing is you got to be there. And so you keep showing up. And so I think it prepared me for real life. The other thing in that too is that, especially for me, I'm not quite as good of an athlete as you or RJ. I'm a vandal. I'm going to keep that a little bit quiet.
You don't have to tell anyone.
But dealing with adversity, right? Things not going well. I think my second year there, when I'm playing a little bit, I think we won 4 games, man. Still showing up when things aren't going well, dealing with failure. Those are some things that I look at.
Absolutely. And just kind of touch on that adversity piece. Adversity is so much different in a college huddle, in a college athletics room than is the real life. So how have some of those experiences that you dealt with as an athlete going through adversity really translated to the real life in your professional career?
Well, I think adversity is one of those things that it's a constant. It's not a variable, right? It's going to come no matter what. It might come a lot, it might come just in a day. It might come over a week, but it's going to happen, and you know that it's coming. And so with adversity, what I try to look at in professional life, and I learned this through my experience in college basketball, is you got to be prepared for it. You got to have a plan for it. You got to know that when it's coming. You got to be able to recognize where to see it. That helps you get through it and be more prepared for when it comes, and kind of makes it part of the process instead of, it minimizes that hill that you got to get over, right? And so, again, it's coming. It's on the way. It's one of those things that the better prepared for it you are, the better you'll be, and that works for me professionally.
Absolutely. A coach of mine once said, never lock your knees, and just, I love what you said, that adversity is a constant. It's always going to be there. You just don't know when it's always going to show up. And so we talked about how you said that transition kind of started once you got to college. So what are some of those lessons that you took from being a student athlete that you still use in your everyday professional life?
I think the one that comes to mind is really the power of confidence, right? In basketball, it's a confidence game, right? And so what I got to learn in college is how well my performance was when I was confident and I was ready to go versus what my performance was like when maybe I was a little bit less confident. Right. And so having the opportunity to reflect on that, all right, what helped me to be confident, right? It was the preparation. It was being prepared, ready to go. It was having that belief in myself and working on that belief in myself. And so transitioning that into everyday life, it's like, all right, how do I make sure that when I'm walking into a scenario that I'm prepared, I'm confident, I'm ready to go, because I know the downside. You know, it's a slippery slope. You stop believing in yourself, something goes wrong, you trip a little bit. It's like, all right, how do you kind of get back up? And so, you know, that's one of the things, you know, college, you know, to professional life that I really have focused on. That confidence is key no matter what you're doing.
Absolutely. And just a little bit of that transition, we talk about how some athletes aren't ready to deal with those type of downhills, you know, and a lot of athletes have somewhat unrealistic expectations that they're all going to go pro. So what advice would you give to those athletes that think, hey, my life is my sport and this is all it's going to be?
Well, that's kind of I got a long answer for you on this one, but I mean, and I know, you know, everyone wants to be a pro. I wanted to be a pro. I had the privilege of playing summer ball with Adam Morrison, so I kind of learned pretty early that I probably wasn't going to be a pro. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're playing against pros, you can kind of compare yourself to that level. But at the same time, it's like, all right, you see what it takes. You see the work that those guys put in to kind of get to that level. But what I would say in terms of transitioning, you know, what you're learning, like I mentioned, all the things in the real world that help you to be successful are what you learn in athletics. But it's like if you're aware of that and you can transition those skills that you learn, right? Showing up. I mean, half of it is showing up. How many times have you woken up before practice, RJ, and been like, I don't want to go. I'm not going to go. You know, how about this? I'm not going to go. And then, you know, it's about 5 minutes before you got to go and you're up and you're moving and you're going, right? I'm going. You know, I'm going to go. And so it's the same things out in the real world. So it's all right, transition that passion, that preparation, all those things that make you successful as an athlete. Transfer those a little bit and put that energy into your professional life. You know, set a plan, work hard, and it helps, you know, ease the pain. Those are things that most people going into the workforce haven't experienced, right? You know, that 7A to 7P, that, you know, someone expecting the performance from you, all those things. Those are skills that we're lucky to have, you know, as athletes, that a lot of other people don't get experience, right? The highs, the lows, all of that. Right. And so, all right, transition that energy towards the next phase in your life, and I think you'll be successful. I'm looking for those type of people, right? That's the type of people we're trying to hire.
Yeah, and you talked a little about it, right? You realized that the professional career and the professional aspect isn't really for you, and it wasn't going to be for you. Once that came to your thought, and once you understood that, talk to me about the mental transition that you made from realizing, hey, basketball is going to end, and I'm going to need to be in the real world. What changed for you?
Well, I mean, I'd like to say that I'm still a hooper, man. Geez, in my mind, that's the way that I'm thinking. Like you never. I mean, you know, I created an identity around being a basketball player. That's what I did. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't really want to do anything else. And I think that's what a lot of athletes are going through. And so that transition, I'd like to make it sound like really nice, but that's a difficult transition that you have to kind of go through. And again, I think it has to do with kind of similar things. You know, what I kind of did is I kind of knew early that, all right, if this isn't going to work out, I got to have kind of a backup plan. And for me, that backup plan was always people, communities, and healthcare, right? I grew up, my mom worked in healthcare, I kind of grew up around the hospital. So I knew I wanted to be in or around that. And so even through college, even while I was playing, I'd put myself in the hospital, you know, working on weekends, doing some different things. And so I was a little more prepared than most, and maybe I had a plan a little bit earlier. But really it was about, all right, making a decision, putting that target out there, putting that goal out there, and I'll giving my space time to transition through being a hooper to being a real person, and then going out and showing up every day and working on getting there.
We talked about the burden of being a student athlete, 7 a.m., 7 p.m., a whole lot of time commitment. Within that time commitment, a lot of student athletes struggle to find job opportunities and job experience. What would you say how can a student athlete best translate their skills to a professional and, you know, really show them what they're capable of?
Well, I mean, I would flip it around. I think you're kind of doing it right now, RJ. I mean, you're kind of showing the world how to do that right now. I think you're, like you said, I mean, I would pick up, like I said, with hospital, it's like I would pick up a night shift on a Saturday night, you know, 5 to 5, right? Or I'd pick up a 12-hour shift on a Sunday. And so I kind of continued to do that. But for all the athletes out there, what I would say is, like, you have the skills. You know, learn how to articulate those. You know, learn how to put those on a resume. Because, again, what you're talking about is skills that you learn through being an athlete that are very transferable to the outside world. So I think it's more just about having an awareness, learning how to speak to them, and again, I know it's tough, but you got to continue to put yourself out there, continue to put yourself in sports. But putting down a WSU football player on the bottom of a resume or at the top of a resume, it's going to get you an interview. Then once you get the interview, it's going to be on you. You got to perform. You got to go do a good job. So
Performance, right? Like we talk about a lot of that as an athlete, that's all you're ever expected to do. You're expected to perform at a high level, right? And bring a mentality and mindset to be able to accomplish those things. What from your athletic career, just talk about that mentality and that mindset that you carry on as a CEO today. What translated for you and how do you still use that today?
Well, I kind of mentioned the competitiveness that I got in there, which really helps, and I might have been blessed with that a little bit. But performance is out there. Performance is transparent. It's out there. I think what I do professionally, and I think my team that's down here, the only ones out here listening, right here they are. Wave at them. Here they go. They would say, try to raise the bar. Raise the bar. Make the bar transparent. It's like, but put it into words. What do you want to do, right? Who do you want to be? What does performance mean to you? Put it on paper, put it on the wall, put it on a screen, do whatever you need to do. But visualize it, put it out there, and then start taking the steps to go achieve it. Again, this is all cliche, but you can really achieve anything that you want. Yeah. So put it out there, define what performance means for you. It's different for everybody, and then go out there and start working towards it.
And you're a young guy. To be the CEO, what kind of sacrifices did you have to make along the way to get to where you are in this position that you're at today?
Oh man, I mean, to be honest, it's quite a bit. I've moved, every 3 to 4 years, there's an opportunity, and I've moved to a different place. That means leaving your family, leaving your friends, starting over, going through the year of tough moves, going through the year of those things. But again, you call them sacrifices, but they're really just what it takes to get where you want to go, right? Absolutely. And so, again, it's different for everybody, but you set that target out there, and if you really want to achieve that target, right? So for me, it's like, all right, that's going to be what's in the best interest of me and my future family, my family. All right, that's what I got to do. I'm going to start taking those steps, and I'm going to put myself out there. So sure, they feel like sacrifices when you're in the middle of Wisconsin. It's negative 15 degrees outside, and you're like, I guess I'm really doing this. Your friends are home having a great time, and here I am. But I wouldn't necessarily call them sacrifices. Those are just the steps. And the cool part is that you meet a ton of awesome people along the way. Every place that you go, you acclimate to. There's not a place that you can't survive. So again, I'm going to get to the end, and we can call them sacrifices, but really they're just experiences that I can build on and utilize to help other people that I come in contact with down the way. And I wouldn't trade the stories for anything. So again, showing up and being there and experiencing something every day is pretty cool, and I'm glad I've got to do it.
I completely agree. As an athlete, a lot of the tough times that we went through are some of the best stories that we have today. And I think that the adversity and the sacrifices that, we said that you talked about, have made you into the person today. So tell me some of your favorite memories about some of those sacrifices, right? Wisconsin, what did you gain from that, that you love to happen or you love to still share these stories about? Can you talk about any of those stories?
Absolutely, man. I mean, like ice fishing is something that I wouldn't necessarily recommend, right? I talked about the 7A to 7P, except for it's 7 in the morning, it's negative 20 degrees outside, and now you're standing on a lake fishing for these little fish that you're going to eat later that day, right? But those experiences with those people, and I'm on the border of Canada and the United States in the middle of nowhere, the walleye capital of the world, Lake of the Woods, just having a ball up there, and just an experience like that. Maybe it's fun, maybe it's not, but you always got that story to tell. And like I said, I met a ton of great people, determined that I'm not a great golfer, those kind of things. Having a ball with that, so setting more goals based on going out there. But again, it comes down to the people. Just had a blast. Got an opportunity to make a big impact in a community that was looking for it and relying on it. And those are things that I'll cherish and look to in the future.
And today, right, we've talked about all these moves that you made, and you've ended up in Pullman, Washington. And Pullman Regional is the is the official hospital of WSU Athletics. So
Go
shout out
Cougs.
Pullman Regional. Go Cougs. And so talk about what it means to you to be a Coug now, right? You're in the community. We've adopted you. Just tell me a little bit about what it means to be a Coug and what it means to put Cougs first.
Oh, Cougs first. I love this. Well, I mean, to be honest with you, man, Pullman was a part of the plan. It's like being a part of the Coug Nation and being a part of Pullman Regional. That was a place that I identified, 10 years ago as the place that I wanted to be. And like, all right, these are the steps that I wanted to take. So, I mean, to me, it's been kind of a dream. It's been a target. It's been a goal to be a Coug. And I think someone asked me earlier today, what's the thing that shocked you the most? And honestly, it's day in, day out. The interactions that I've had here today that show how passionate people from Pullman and how passionate Cougs really are, how committed and connected and engaged they are with the community and the things that they care about. I mean, this is incredible. I mean, look at what Tony Poston and Jack and the crew has put together. I mean, this shows the passion and the commitment that, I mean, who wouldn't want to be a part of this, RJ?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So now I don't know if I ever would have thought growing up I'd be wearing these, right? I'd be hiding the logo, from my family and all that. But are you kidding me? I'm proud to wear the Coug and to be even sort of part of this incredible nation and CougsFirst.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Matt, and go Cougs.
Go Cougs. Thanks, RJ.